Welcome to Behind the Play, a podcast and video product of The Hoop Show, where we explore the careers of Geelong players, past and present, and the good folk that keep us Geelong strong. My name is Paul James, and I'm joined by The Hoop Show himself, Ben Reeve. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Paul. How are you doing?
Very well. This is our episode 0 of sorts. We're doing a little bit of a trial run here, but our pilot episode that we may or may not make available to the masses at some point in the future. That's just, well, the beauty of scheduling is that sometimes things go wrong, and we've now got a panic button we can press. So this is great.
We'll see how we go, hey? We'll see if the demand's there for it too. You never know. I doubt it, but
once this thing kicks off and we're speaking to millions, don't worry.
I'm excited. We've got some good names coming on, so we'll see what the next few weeks, how it all plays out.
Certainly, if you are a podcaster or YouTube consumer that is checking this out now, we've probably got quite a few episodes in the can, hopefully nothing's gone wrong really early on, and so you might have seen some really awesome guests. We won't name them just in case something goes wrong, but we've been working, the two of us have been working really hard on kind of getting this show off the ground and getting some guests on board, and the support's been fantastic so far, so hopefully that all continues. But I guess before we kind of focus on the future and all that sort of stuff and what you're even trying to create with the Hoop Show itself, you being kind of the face of the platform and me being this tag along that you've somehow roped in, I wanted to kind of, I guess, rewind to a point before making any content and all those sorts of things, like the Geelong Footy Club, footy in the first place. Where did that kind of come into your life? Like, have you been born and bred footy from the day you were born? Is that where all things started for you?
I wouldn't say the day I was born, but I definitely would have been.
Well, that's a fair feat, but
yeah, but no, I definitely would have been a 4 or 5 year old and
brought up with a footy in hand.
Yeah, well, someone on Twitter today even was saying, "What's your first memory of your favourite player as a kid growing up?" And my response was Mark Jacko Jackson. I remember my dad used to work for Cheatham Salt years ago now, 35 years ago, something like that.
Yep.
And they had a corporate box, the old somewhere near where the players' stand is now. And I'd go in there, and I didn't know anything about football, didn't know any of the players. It was my first game ever, and Dad just kept hyping me up all morning, saying, "Oh, you've got to check out this Mark Jacko Jackson." And he runs, "Which one's he?" And I'm just watching him, literally watching him for the whole game.
As he beelines someone to try and take their head off.
Exactly. I can't remember if he did anything, but that was for me. And then it sort of, I probably went to a game a year with Dad when it was, I can't remember, it was 60 cents to get in as a kid.
Oh,
in the
dream.
In the mid 80s, and it was like a suburban ground back then. Happy memories. I was looking at it the other day because my daughter plays netball nearby, and just the whole that's entry where the car park is on that side of the ground. It's just completely different, but I can still picture it today what it was like as a young fella walking in.
And you were brought up, I guess, kind of being in the area, but were you always brought up as a Cats fan? Like, you didn't defect at some point? You didn't have that childhood thing where you bounce between clubs?
I was a Melbourne Demons supporter for about 3 months, I reckon. I think they lost the 1988 grand final to Hawthorn. I think they got spanked by well over 80 points or something like that, and I felt really sorry for them. And I think, and then the 89 season rolled around, and Geelong was just amazing that year, and I was quickly turned back around again to the light side.
Good.
And Gary Ablett Senior went run amok, and Cats made the grand final, and
things didn't quite work out, but certainly one of the greats.
Can't remember who we played that year in the grand final.
No, we don't speak about that.
But yeah.
It's a bit like a certain semi-final in 2005 that I like, and someone's name who I, to this day, have not uttered since and will refuse to, because look, that was a night. I guess I'll front load it where this is our pilot episode, and who knows whether it will or won't go live. My dad brought a projector home from work for that one. Like, we're gonna make a big deal about this. He brought the projector, cleared the room, like, to blow it up on the wall, and we got speakers attached, and everything was awesome, and having a great time for 3/4. And then little teenage Paul, who, you know, you get to teenage years, you can't cry, all that sort of stuff. Teenage Paul burst into tears that night. That was a distressful night. So we'll never speak about that because he's a piece of shit. Anyway, obviously the love of Geelong was established early.
Yeah, pretty much. And I joined it. I came back to the side of the good at the right time. And as I said, in 1989, and that was really the beginning of an amazing era for the club. Unfortunately, we didn't win a premiership in that period of time, but we made the 4 grand finals, and just seemed like it was like a lot of kids growing up from 2007 onwards. It was just like, oh, well, Geelong makes grand finals every year.
That's what they do.
We're in prelims, or we're finishing first or second on the ladder. It was just the way it was growing up. And then I got my heart broken so many times, and like you as a teenage Paul, teenage or a 10-year-old, 12-year-old Ben, it was
89 and 92 and 95 and
89. I was probably running around with some other kids in the backyard and kept coming in. Oh, what's the score? What's the score? That kind of thing. I'm sure you've seen kids do that. Probably, but 92, I was a bit more invested. 94, I got to go to the game. It was Gary Albert's birthday, and that was great for the first quarter because we were in front. And we're gonna win this. Didn't win it, and then 95, I completely lost it when we lost another one. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I hung around. I didn't affect, but
I still accuse Carlton of actually busting the salary cap years prior. It wasn't just 99, 2000. It was before that. That's what won the flag. I'm 100% sure of it.
100%. I've got Carlton friends, and that's all. That's my line that I trot out every time as well.
Yeah, good.
And they bring it up. So
I got slapped by my boss the other day for flagging that in front of her because she's a Carlton supporter and feeling pretty good about herself at the moment.
Well, they're travelling okay, but when we're 7-2, I don't want to be arrogant, and I probably am coming off as a bit arrogant, but I think we got used to being really good the last 10 years, and a 7-2 start for us is like, well, we'll get some problems.
There's a few rough edges we need to clean up.
Yeah, so well.
Yeah, we've enjoyed a good journey since 2007, really. Actually, let's be real. I mean, 2006 was obviously a downer, but really it's been since 2004 where the club's been like we've almost into 2 decades of being one of, if not the best team in the comp. Really, it's been a pretty privileged place for us to be over these couple of decades. Now, obviously, there was underlying problems at Geelong through kind of those years prior to 2007 and things that need to be cleaned up. But like we've enjoyed quite a lot.
Oh, look, you could even see the signs of something building. As early as 2002. I don't think we made the finals that year, but 2004, it was my favourite game ever. It was, I think we played on a bit of a roll, and we came up against the premiers from last year in Brisbane at home. It was pouring down with rain, and
Jimmy Bartell went nuts.
Jimmy Bartell, I think even Ken Kingsley might have played all right, but it was just
didn't happen often. He's all right. No, he's
but
good.
I loved standing in the. It's probably the first time I was going as a teenager or an early adult to the games on my own with friends rather than tag along with Dad, and so that was a bit of a different experience, and just really starting to following the Cats, and hopefully if we do fall off a cliff a little bit over the next few years, and hopefully the kids sort of growing up and sticking with the club will get to experience that ride up again, because that, for me, that was probably the most enjoyable thing leading up to the premiership, just knowing what we'd gone through in that lead up to 2007, some of the pain, and just climbing that ladder and having that success. It means so much more to you. That 2007, I know people have their favourite grand finals, but for me, will always be number one. It's probably just that stage of my life I was at where I'd gone through the mud and to come out the other side and to see that premiership and everything it meant. And I was still probably late 20s, something like that at the time. It was, but a lot of pain through my teenage years to get to that point.
Yeah, no, I can see that because I mean, contextually, like that's a bit different for me. I was born in '89, so I was there in time for the grand final, but obviously couldn't say my own name. You weren't going to get it much out of me that day. And same with some of those early grand finals, even '95. I was exactly what you described. That kid that kind of runs in and goes, "What's the scores, Dad?" and then run back out and I don't know, play video games or go and kick the footy or something, whatever it happened to be, and tune in and out. So I'd missed the majority of the heartbreak live. I had been educated on it afterwards and seen some of the replays. I don't know what sort of torture that was from Dad. That feels like some Adelaide Crows post 2017 sort of play the song sort of business. But
I've watched the 2008 replay once or twice. That's hard work.
So talk me through 2007 actually being there when you were you there? Sorry, for the grand final.
No, sorry, I was. I went to the 2009, but 2007, just the normal. Well, it was normal, but for me, normal was backyard barbecue at my brother's house.
Yeah.
Tried to get tickets, couldn't get them. Dad was lucky enough to get a couple of tickets, and he went. But no, we watched it on the TV, and just the whole week with Jimmy winning the Brownlow. Gazza, I think, won MVP, and All Australian. Just we won everything.
Joel Sell with the Rising Star, and
Stephen King winning a VFL premiership.
Yeah, true.
Backing up 6 days later. It's just everything about it, and yeah, it was just great. And I still didn't believe. I think we were 50 odd points up at half time, and then probably 90 points up at three quarters. Ran about that at not 3/4 time, and I said to my mate,
the wheels could still fall off here.
I think at that point I was like, I reckon we can win this. I reckon we can win.
If we can just hang on for 30 minutes.
But I think we were just in shock and stunned belief. We didn't believe that this was actually really going to happen. And then, yeah, it's probably when Billy Brownless came on
you see him cry.
And Billy, and I went, I was gone after that. I was tearing up. Yeah, no good.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I was at the game, and
oh wow.
There was a little bit of confusion. Like, yes, I hadn't been through the live heartbreak of a lot of those 80s and 90s grand finals, but yeah, again, well and truly educated and all across it, and living and breathing the Cats, and it did feel a bit weird. Like, and for me, the number one is 2009. Because it was a phenomenal grand final, but also simply because 2007, for as brilliant as it was to break the drought, it felt almost underwhelming. Because like, oh, this is how we're doing it. Yeah. And I don't mean that in like some backhanded sort of slap at Port Adelaide. Like they were a very young team, and they did an incredible job to get to where they got to, including knocking us off in the final round of the season as well. But which might have been the shake-up that the club needed for all we know. Maybe not. That's all hindsight. But yeah, it was kind of being there in the crowd and being so excited. Like this could be it, and allowing myself to hope early on in the game, and then as it just kind of ballooned out and out, and I'm like, oh, like this is great. But this is how we're going to do it?
Mooney kicks a goal after just pretty much the start of the third quarter. I'm like, oh, this is just going.
We're good. Perfectly. We're good.
This is good. Like, you don't want to come out after half time and then Port kick 3 or 4 on the trot. It's like, nah, we come out and here we go again. It was amazing. And I hear what you're saying. Like, to me, it felt like more of a celebration of that sort of build up of since 2004. And just all those horrible years. Well, not horrible years. They were great years. And I think now, but
the heartbreak.
Yeah, there's definitely heartbreak. But I think the more I look back on it after appreciating, being a bit more understanding of the success and how privileged we are as Geelong supporters. I look back on those years that we didn't win the grand final and think how lucky we were to see those champions and those teams, and how close we were. Like we were, a couple of those games could have gone either way. Those champions could have been 2-time premiers or things like that. So 89, look, we could have won that one. Probably did the damage early, Hawthorn on us on that one. But 92 we were up, and 94 I think we were favourites. 94 and 95 I just think we didn't play well at all. But, so not 2007 for me was a celebration, and I just couldn't believe it. And the prelim before that as well.
Oh, wasn't that it? Like that was the grand final there. Like that was huge in that respect.
It was the year from heaven for a Geelong supporter.
Yeah.
And I feel like, everyone's got a different perspective on it, whether you're a kid, whether you're 80 years old on death's door. But for me, like just really sort of being fully into the Geelong Footy Club in the late 20s. In my late 20s, I was like, this is just peak Geelong footy for me. And I just felt so lucky to be part of that. Well, not part of it, but to live through that period of time.
So contrast that to what happened 12 months later. Were you there? Were you there for that one?
No.
Okay, so I was again there for that one. That was also that was
2 years in a row. Missed out on the lottery. I think it was a lottery second year. I can't remember. But no, didn't get to go. Had the flu.
Right.
Still, you couldn't imagine. I don't know why I went to my brother's house that year. You
Despite
wouldn't
having
imagine
a flu.
Exactly in 2022.
Imagine society liking that these days. You crook.
I'm
going to go to my brother's place to watch the footy.
No, no. So that was pretty horrible. But look, it just felt like everything was going wrong that day. I look at it now though, and I think,
They might have needed it,
it was we
but
went
wasn't great.
we didn't get smashed by Hawthorn, but compared to the year that we had, and I remember all the talk through the year as well, just like, oh, Geelong's not as good as last year, even though our win-loss ratio would tell you otherwise. I probably agree with that statement too. Like the way we were winning the year before was just so dominating.
Yeah.
And while we won 21 games through the regular season, there was probably weren't doing it in the same way. So I guess I wasn't really surprised. I know history will look back on that and go, well, how could they lose? They lost one game in the regular season, got through the finals. And
statistically speaking, it was it was a year of total dominance. But you're right, and it kind of was almost reflected
just
in
something there.
I can't remember what round it was. Maybe round 8 for some reason in my head when we played Collingwood and we lost by 100 points.
Yeah,
like it was a mess.
That was just shocking. It was like, oh, okay, and then we got back on track again, and I think we won 15 or something like that.
Everything up to that point until the grand final, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we didn't sort of get in there. It's just in the back of my mind and a lot of other Geelong supporters, or a few other Geelong supporters, there was just this nagging little doubt that we weren't as supremely confident as we were the year before. So kind of hard to explain, but it was just this: we're going to win this in 2007. It was destiny, and even though you still had this, oh, can we? But you felt more confident about it. Well, I did in 2007 than I did in 2008. And just seeing it all go wrong, and it had to be Hawthorn.
Oh yeah, of course.
Said their name. But yeah,
it did start something pretty amazing between the two clubs afterwards.
Oh,
and I don't even just mean like the curse and all that, but like the rivalry that's been formed and the Easter Monday clash and all of that stuff that's come out of it. Like it's been pretty phenomenal in that respect. But the day itself I still hate, and I hate that despite how many games we won in the middle, Hawthorn supporters will always have the last laugh because A, they won the grand final to start it all, and B, they won the prelim to end it all. So yes, we won everything in the middle.
And I've still got images of Burgoyne just running through after
because they keep showing it. But
and Barco, I mean, God bless him, but
that miss.
How did you miss that? I mean, he was under the pump, but yeah, that would have been interesting, wouldn't it? Going to extra time. Just imagine the rivalry, just the history of the two clubs if that game went to extra time. But it had to end at some point, and I mean, for the Hawthorn story, good for them. It was, they're going to break the duck. You may as well do it in the prelim and go on and be in a grand final.
At least we rolled them in a qualifying final in 2011 to kind of keep the curse going, and also on our way to a grand final. Exactly. What about 9 and 11? We probably don't need to spend, I guess, as much time as those. But
I went to the game. It was a big day for me. I had desperately wanted to get a ticket, and I did everything I could. I missed out in the lottery again, so I ended up spending several $100, close to $1,000, to get to the Western Bulldogs grand final breakfast at Marble Stadium, formerly Telstra Dome or whatever it was back then.
Yeah, I can't remember now.
I still call it Telstra Dome today. I think I even said it on the show I did earlier.
It's been 50 name changes. I don't blame you for getting it wrong. You just commit to one and stick with it.
Yeah, but that was a great day. I was behind the goals where Chappie kicked it.
Nice.
I was probably a little bit inebriated and getting a bit cheeky with some of the St Kilda fans around me, but that was a great day and really enjoyed that. In 2011, back home in the barbecue, the backyard barbecue again, and just it was just great. I was just full of pride for that game. Just seeing everyone had written us off, and to come through and play as well as we did, and just the brand of football, the way it should be played, as the song goes, it was just pure Geelong game, and it's just not everything went well. We had big injuries and
shoulder and
a couple of young players who just stood up, and Duncan came on and kicked a goal from 50, and there's so many memories. I love watching that game. I don't know. They're like your children, aren't they? It's football. It shouldn't be like your children. Which is your favourite grand final? But
no, there's definitely an element of that. And if you look at it through that lens, there's absolutely one of those. And, because there's context around all of it. Yeah, in a footy sense, of course. Like there's context around all of that kind of makes, again, like the difference between the 2007 versus like the actual, like how tight 2009 was to. I mean, look, even 2011 was an arm wrestle for 3 quarters until. I mean, Tommy had kind of been having a really good game, but he erupted in that final quarter and kind of broke away from Ben Reeve and flipped the game completely on its head.
Tommy Hawkins. Oh,
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
And even around that game, like you can add the drama around it being Mick Malthouse last game coaching and what was going on there, like the politicking in the back end between him and Bucks and everything was like, that can add a lot of fuel because it seemed like, at least for a while, that the players weren't super happy with the decision. So does that fire them up even further? And like
Stevie J was in the the chamber for a week
and did pulled some dodgy tricks to get up, but geez, it was good that he played.
Kicked his 4 goals, which, anyone kicks 4 goals in a game these days. Yeah, on one leg, it's amazing. But different footy these days. But yeah, kick 4 now, it's great. He kicked 4 goals on one leg in a grand final after not looking like he was going to play. And
exactly.
So many stories. Tom Lonergan. I mean, you could name about a dozen stories that came out of that game. Even with the Collingwood team as well, as you said, with Malthouse, but even some of their players, Cracker and all that. So just a great game. There's a really good documentary out there about it as well. I think it's 2 hours, I think it was called. So
I think that's right. It was kind of around that era where we finally started seeing these documentaries about every grand final. They've been fascinating ever since. Not that I like watching 2008 or 2020.
When we win a grand final, those documentaries are great to watch, but steer clear of them.
After that, don't hit play. So I guess like that's talking a lot about the passion of the game itself and some of the highs and lows along the way there. But what got you? And I guess through the nature of this show, we're going to be talking to players past and present. We're going to be talking about people who are involved in kind of off the field capacities of various different sorts. Without showing the hand of what we've got lined up, like there's some really really cool people there, and they are coming from a host of different walks, from kind of a more supporter base to direct involvement with the club, but behind the scenes. You are one of those that's kind of the true like supporter sort of perspective there and you're building this platform with the Hoops Show that you've again and with much appreciation brought me on board to be a part of. But how did the idea for the platform kick off in the first place?
Well,
and I like that we're having this chat because I guess for people going behind the scenes, like we've been back and forth on Twitter and whatnot through DMs and whatnot as this has all been coming together. But this is the first time that we've spoken,
exactly.
quote unquote face to face. So like this is me kind of learning a lot of things about you all at the same time here. How did this idea come about?
And I was thinking about this through the week actually because I'm thinking, I'm going to be interviewed by Paul, and he's going to ask me
hard-hitting questions.
He probably will be asking me the hard-hitting questions, but I'm guessing there might be a question about why do the show. So I guess it's a pretty
predictable, huh?
Yeah, no. It's pretty simple answer for me though. It's I probably am a little bit too one-eyed Geelong, and I have over the years watched a lot of footy content on free to air and Foxtel and all that. And I find myself watching it and getting frustrated, especially when Geelong's had a win or watching the day after on the Sunday shows, and I'm like, why don't they talk about Geelong more? I just want to hear about Geelong, and so I'm like, maybe I should do something about that, like because I'm for anyone else like me who just wants to hear about the Cats.
The 5 minutes that they dedicate to a single game is far too brief.
Exactly. And it's always about the negative. It's always about why Geelong didn't win or
why the opposition lost. Yeah.
We had a great win. We don't want to talk about that though, because we want to talk about the stuff that's going to grab headlines and all that stuff. But I want to hear about why the Cats played really well and what it means for our season and all that. So I just found that those AFL shows that were through the mainstream media didn't really cover Geelong in the way that I wanted Geelong to be covered, and I didn't know before doing the show that there was other people out there that sort of felt the same. But it's really been nice to get some feedback from people that watch the show and that some of the community on Twitter as well that are really enjoying the Geelong content. And so we've started pretty small. I've really just sort of been recording my thoughts on the games. And trying to sort of be somewhat balanced, but I'm a human being, and sometimes I get a little bit grumpy.
Look, the nature of the thing is it's a Geelong-based product, and so naturally there's going to be a Geelong bias, not in terms of the amount of attention, because clearly it's obviously focused on the club, but we're always going to be naturally looking for the positives, and
exactly
that doesn't mean you can be blinded by the rest, but there is always going to be that lens over the whole thing.
I think it's always important to even in our worst losses to try and find some positives. in a lot of the crap that we've seen. But just as we might have a 60-point win against a North Melbourne, we'll be celebrating in all cock a hoop. Like it doesn't hurt to sort of point out some of the things that we need to work on, or some of the areas of concern as well. So, and I appreciate that my view as a Geelong fan isn't going to be shared by everyone. So, I try to come at it from different viewpoints as well, without necessarily be sitting on. I don't want to necessarily sit on the fence, but I want to sort of hear multiple perspectives, and that's why I'm really keen on the tweets of the week sort of stuff. So I get some people to sort of write in and let me know what they think, and try to get a bit of a balance of different viewpoints as well, as long as it's respectful and
constructive.
And constructive, that's fine. I don't need abuse. Isn't I never tolerate that, and if there's any of that on my channel, I shut it down, or the Twitter account, I just don't want to know about it. If that's what you're here for, that's I'm probably not the one you want to be watching or I'm with checking you. or engaging with through the week on Twitter. But yeah, happy to have a constructive chat about that, and happy to even sort of people to be a bit grumpy and to express their frustrations. But as long as it's respectful and I'm a human being. I've been a young fella too. Over the years, it's probably lost my head and just.
We've all had the moments, but we learn from it.
I just go away and I think about it, and usually, even now as a 42-year-old, it's like I'm grumpy after the game, and a couple of days later, it's probably a good reason to record my recap show a few days after. I put it out on a Monday normally, but yeah, just to sort of think about it a little bit more and try and analyse it and put the game in perspective a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, even as when we record this, and I guess this is dating it a little bit depending on whenever we eventually roll this thing out, but as we record this is just off the back of
grand final week when we're lining up for
exactly. We need an episode, and we go, oh shit, okay, well let's throw out episode 0.
That's a banger. Put that one out.
I mean, because as of when we record this is just post round 9 after we unfortunately lost to St Kilda, and I mean, there's so much that's positive about the way Geelong played there, but there's 15 to 20 minutes where you can go, what is it, and just lose your mind over it, and understandably so. But again, you just hope that
Stanley's rubbish. We can talk. Chris Scott's got to go. It's the same old every week.
Well, let's ignore the Twitter sphere in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, you can make that argument, but I get a little bit over that. So, I mean, there's definitely issues, and we're not a perfect team, and we're not always going to be a perfect team year after year. And look, even Melbourne winning the premiership this year, as good as they're going, it's probably a coin flip. Geelong couldn't do it in 2008 and other years as well. But
you only need to have one bad day.
It's hard to win grand finals.
Yeah,
it's hard to make them. It's hard to make finals. So that's what I keep telling myself. Try and be grateful. Understand we're in a privileged position to be Geelong supporters, and enjoy the ride. It's not gonna last forever, and one day it'll be gone, and some of these greats of the club won't be there anymore, and we'll look back and think, oh, actually, it wasn't that bad.
What are you talking about? Joel Selwood's never going to stop playing.
He's never going to stop. Tommy Hawkins will be 50. He'll be the next Tom Brady.
Well, I mean, he's still the almost pinnacle of his career at this point. So yeah, Tom will be around till he's 40 at least. He'll do a Dustin Fletcher and
well,
geez, if he plays till he's 40, like
still kicking 3 goals a game. He's doing all right.
500 games.
second in the Coleman. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
You can never rule it out. But
no.
In terms of the continued growth of the platform, now you've added me and what we're looking to do here with Behind the Play. You've got some other partnerships that you've got established. Whilst I'm sure it all comes from a place of love for the club and exactly what you described before, where you're looking to put your voice out there and I guess shine a brighter spotlight on Geelong itself. Do you have a dream place that you'd love to see this reach? Are you really just consumed by I love this thing, this is just an opportunity, and I'm just happy doing it?
I do.
It's not to say obviously there can't be both. You can be loving what you do and have this dream future goal.
Oh look, there's some realities as well. Look, I work full time and I've got a family, and so there's commitments that I have to that, and so I've got some limitations, I suppose, in that regard. But what I do want to do, and part of wanting to bring you on board, Paul, is I really want to bring the Geelong community, the independent content creator community on board on this journey, that we share a similar vision for what we want to do in terms of supporting the footy club and supporting the fan base. So what I see, at least in the medium to short term with this particular channel, is to continue to grow and to get more people to sort of come on board on our journey, to bring in. I want to hear different voices. There's a lot of content creators, even outside of our club as well. I want to hear their perspective on especially some of our bigger clashes that we've had over the years. Don't know if I'm brave enough to reach out to some Hawthorn supporters. That'll trigger me a little bit too much. But
I don't know if I want to chat to them either.
But yeah, I just really. I don't think that'll make a lot of sense.
And look, it won't be great to talk to Collingwood supporters because you won't understand what they're saying with all their missing teeth and all those. It's
the dialogue. Yeah,
I'll just throw my handbag over my shoulder and walk out.
Yeah, but I'd love to sort of just invite more and more people, especially content creators that really want to have a voice. And as I said earlier, I don't feel like my voice is representative of the whole Geelong Cats fan community, and I want to hear other voices on this channel. And I want it to. I have a vision for where I want to take it, and I want to continue to grow. Look, at some point, if I'm being really honest, I would see down the track, maybe years from now, maybe broadening it a little bit more to part of it becoming more of an AFL sort of content show, but a small part of it,
and maybe even smaller part dedicated to Hawthorn.
Well, yeah. The Tasmanian Hawks, hopefully by that point. But yeah, like I'd like to bring in some other content creators and potentially, with a similar, there's enough support there for the bigger sort of the ESPNs and your Fox Footies and your AFL.coms. They're great. They've got their place.
They'll always be there.
But there's a lot of talented people out there, and there's a lot of interesting voices that I would love to be heard. In this space, especially when it comes to the Cats. And there's so many great stories to tell that you can't always get that voice out there on a mainstream channel.
Yeah.
Like occasionally you get little former players coming on your what's it called, front bar, things like that, and that's great. But yeah, I'd love to sort of extend the invitation to any past players that want to come on and share their stories and or whatever they're comfortable talking about, or any other fans that want to come on. Anyone who's been involved with the club, that's what really the heart of this show is all about. It's just hearing people's stories and experiences being a Geelong supporter, or being involved with the club, whether it's a supporter or a player or an administrator.
Yeah, as you kind of pitched the idea to me and we kind of started hashing things out further, that was very much something that I started to envisage myself as, okay, well, yes, we're going to target past players, and yes, we'll try and get various administrators and other key kind of behind the scenes people. But yeah, talking about the community and getting those perspectives, like, I mean, I think about my friendship group, and I've absolutely got a couple of Geelong supporters around me, but there's lots of other voices there, and because we've got like those of us that are Geelong supporters, it's kind of a hive mind sort of thing, because you spent all day talking about the same things, you end up just kind of synchronizing all your thoughts. So I'm really looking forward to having other people there that firstly have different experiences and maybe came to Geelong at different points, but also learning about those different perspectives about where the club's at now versus where they were before, where they need to go, what is and isn't working. And again, as you said, being respectful about it the whole time. But like that's one of the things that's really got me excited about what we're looking to build here with this show, let alone what you're doing on a broader level as well for the whole platform.
Yeah,
it's a cool place to be.
I'm excited about the future, and I was really pleased when you reached out to me, and at that point I didn't know anything about you really. And I was
who's this clown talking about video games? He wants to talk footy now?
Someone's really interested in the show and wants to give back, and that was kind of like, I was really hoping this would happen, and I was very early on in the show at that point in time, and hadn't really kind of got concept in my head about what it would want to look like, and then just looking you up a little bit on your show. It's called Patched, I think.
Yeah, Patched is my weekly game thing, and
a plug for the show there.
Thank you.
Check it out on all good podcasts and YouTube. All that. But yeah, just looking at the interview style, and that's exactly what I was sort of hoping for. That one-to-one connection, just getting the story behind the story, and that's where I guess we came up with the name of the show, Behind the Play. It was really just we wanted to sort of hear those stories that maybe haven't been told before. That you hear a lot of the stories going around the AFL about what someone or in other sports and things like that just hear it over and over and over. But I'd love to hear something new and a fresh take. Whether that's a former player, administrator, or a fan. or even someone from, heaven forbid, from another club. But I'd love to hear the other side of it. Some of the opportunities for them to gloat about the bigger wins that they've had, but also some of the painful losses that we've inflicted on them as
Yeah.
well, and
Yeah,
some
I
of
hope
that history. It's really interesting.
broken their hearts a few times, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we haven't, we'll make sure to do it nice and soon. But
exactly.
yeah, I mean, I'm really positive about kind of what the platform is shaping up to be, and just as an outside observer before actually kind of officially jumping on board, that it was kind of cool seeing, oh, look at the follower count tick up and all that. Like, you can see the engagement and just from the sometimes just the basic tweets that go out during a game, and I don't mean basic in a derogatory sense, but just just quick commentary on the game, and you see the engagement, like, oh, this is building into something here, like very, very fast. And one day the whole thing will just become an official product of the Geelong Cats, I'm sure. But until then,
I'll probably resist that, to be honest. I'm serious. Like, I do feel it pretty strong to have an independent voice.
No, independence is great. Sorry, that was me taking the piss.
Yeah, that's great. And the other thing I just wanted to get across is there's a lot of other good Geelong fan content creators out there as well. And so I guess what I want to do in this show is not really to step on their toes, to really give them an opportunity or a platform to sort of promote what they're doing too. So, there's a few good ones out there. I won't name them now, but maybe we can put some names in the show notes or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's there's some good work that they do too. So I'm really keen to support other independent content creators that are going around that really love the Cats and just share the same love that you and I do as well.
Well, I mean, some of those partnerships are already live. Like, we've already got a few. There's Draft Wars and those sorts of things that are going on. So
yeah,
got some cool things going on.
My boys at the Chat Cats, I can name them. So they're doing. I can't. It's
that's a seashells thing. I can't even say that properly. Like, it's a mouthful, that one. They do a good job with that.
It's taken me 12 months, but they do their show is it's fantastic. They've come on board. I think they're great. I actually listen to their show and I think, I got no idea what I'm doing. If only I could do half of a job of what these guys are doing. I think it's criminal that not enough people are paying attention to them or listening in or checking out the Draft War show. I think if you haven't checked it out, please check it out. It's a great show and they're so funny, and they just put everything into it. Check it if you got a bit of time. It only goes for about 10 or 15 minutes, so it's
great fun. Check it out. Absolutely. As we start to wind things down a little bit, we'll probably revisit this conversation at some point. Might get you back on the show as things have kind of changed for the platform and the show going forward. So we'll be able to visit a few other things there. But obviously, we've just kind of been promoting some of the stuff that we've been doing there, and that's fantastic. So let's zero back in on kind of some of your deeper thoughts about the club. In your mind, who is the greatest Cat to ever played for Geelong? And I guess, like, it's always one of those hard questions, and it's the same sort of thing that comes out when we talk about junior versus senior, which I'm going to ask you about shortly as well. But like the era and the style of the game has a big bearing on how we perceive players. So,
look, and it's easy for me to say, well, I grew up in the 80s and 90s and saw the premierships. As a Gary Ablett Senior, will always be number one for me. What he did on the field, it was just incredible, and it's not just what he did; it was what the noise of the crowd. And I'll never forget that as a young fella. Just here, I mean, it's probably the closest you can get to it now is when Buddy Franklin goes near the ball.
Yeah, right.
The crowd just rises, and it was times that by two. That's what it was like when Gary Ablett Senior went near the ball, and it was just you as an opposition supporter, you'd pay just to see Gary Ablett Senior,
the entertainer.
But in saying that, I'm probably answering your next question, really.
Okay.
I actually think that Junior's the better player. I just think he's. I mean, everyone's got a different opinion on this one, but I just think he's just done so many things in his career over so long. He's gathered possessions, he's won premierships, he's captained other clubs, he's pretty much broken almost every record there is, and he just seems like a really good bloke. I mean, I don't know the guy. I actually had a kick with him. My neighbour, when I was a young fella, my neighbour was friends with his dad, and my brother came came running indoors. He said, "Oh, Gary Ablett Senior's next door." Well, he's just Gary Ablett at that point. He goes, "No, he's not there." And he said, "Come." And I went over there, and oh, sure enough, Gary Ablett Senior. And I'm like, "Oh, can we have a kick?" And he was good enough to have a bit of a kick. And then he said, "All right, bugger off." And he sent me next door with his two sons, which I was like, oh, I'm going to play with these kids, Nathan and Gary. I was like, so anyway, I spent the next hour kicking footy with them, and I was like, I want to play kick with your dad. At the time, I didn't really understand what I was doing. But now,
no, but why would you?
Yeah, I just had a kick with senior and junior and Nath. Yeah, it was great. And Gary Ablett, don't let him in your house because he'll go through your fridge and take everything out without asking.
I'll keep that in mind. Should
so if
an
he comes
Ablett
to
ever rock up
if
on
he
my
comes to
doorstep?
your house, don't let him near your fridge. Because yeah, it's a cheeky little bug back then.
So, current day, who's the
Yes.
player that you can't take your eyes off?
Brad Close. Oh, no.
Is he your favourite current player?
Oh, look, he's a bit of a cult hero for me at the moment. He's probably not.
You see it on Twitter.
If the question is, he's my favourite. Yes, he's my favourite.
Is he your
favorite?
Yeah, we've
He's not
kind
the
of got
best
another
player
question
going
that'll
around,
lean in a little bit into that one, but
look, I think it's got to be. It's down to Tommy and Joel. I think probably Joel overall for his career, pretty much since the day he put on the hoops, when he walked into the club, he's just been amazing for us. And you could just tell by the way the senior boys looked up to him. That early in 2007, they were all just looking across, and you could just tell by the way they were talking about Joel Selwood at that point in time, and that this kid's something, and he's really making us think about our football career and what we want to get out of the game. And he went on to win the Rising Star, and was coming runner-up or second runner-up in Brownlows,
and never dropped off
as well.
Just never dropped
and
off.
has not dropped off. And on the weekend, he's had 10 or 11 clearances, and twice as much as the next cat, and was in my votes. So he's 34 in about 8 days' time.
Still leading the way. It's pretty incredible.
He's amazing, and he's just the heart and soul of this footy club. And I'm genuinely going to be sad when he goes. I know it's not far away now. It could be, maybe Joel wants to play for another 5 years. It just, to me, just looking from an outside looking, it looks like he's just about done. But yeah, for me, it's probably Joel over Tom.
I want to believe that that Joel and Tom made a pact when they first started. That was when you go, I go, and because Tommy's going so well, Joel's just stuck. He's welded onto the club, rusted onto the club for the next 4 or 5 years because Tom's going to be going till he's 40, as we discussed before.
Yeah.
Now, I think you've kind of answered this one as well, but the future. Who's that player that you just can't take your eye off in terms of like, this is the one, and I'm guessing Brad Close is the answer there, but like, this is the one. This is the one that I just unhealthy obsession with this player. This is the one that I can't take my eyes off when they get near the ball.
Well, Jake from the chat. See, I'm getting it wrong. The Chaps Chat Cats. He'll be happy if I say this. It'll be Tom Stewart. I love him now. And when he was the acting captain the other day, just seeing the look on his eye running up the race.
Yeah.
Thinking, cool.
We're not losing.
It was giving me Tom Harley feels a little bit. And yeah, I can't wait to see what the next year. And look, who knows? My strong feeling is he will be captain, whether it's next year or the year after that. But I think we're in good hands with Tom Stewart if he does become captain of the club moving forward. And I'm really excited. I feel like unless something terrible goes wrong, he's probably getting another All-Australian this year.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of competition internally for the Carnegie Group's medal. But I'm just excited for his career, and I'm just so. I said, I don't know the guy, but just so proud of where he's come from, and to what he's become, and he's just carrying a lot of other boys with him on this journey, and just giving a lot of belief to those that aren't drafted first round.
Yeah, I mean, he's very much the self-made man in a way. Like he got a chance and then just applied, and
talent get you so way. You got to work hard though. In AFL, if you're going to make it. Talent's great and gets your foot in the door a lot of the time.
But it's hard work that gets you.
It's only going to take you so far, but hard work gets you over the line. And just got to look at a bloke like Tom Adkins, another one. That's all the Toms. Tom Adkins, another one that's just you didn't know him 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just this kid having a bit of a run
in the seconds.
In the pre-season, played all right, and then got a few games in the seniors, and this year he's really just put his foot down and said, I mean, he's probably a fringe player last year, but this year he's just he's been great.
Yeah, he's a fixture now.
He goes unnoticed a lot, but I'm just loving what he's putting out there. So I'm excited for the future. I think we've got some tough years ahead, but I'm also very confident that if we do have a few down years, then it won't be long until we're back up the top again. I don't think we're going to spend the next 20 years.
No, we're not going to sell well.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're too proud a club, and we've got a lot of good people still involved in the club.
Now, this kind of final question will be an interesting one because it's a time capsuled episode. From this point, and again, this is set between round 9 and round 10. What's the outlook looking like for 2022? How are things going to shape up?
Well, we've got 7 games at Kardinia Park to come,
which helps.
Not to say we're going to win 7 of them, but it does help, as you said. I think we'll probably continue winning 60% of our games for the rest of the year, and I think we're going to end up roughly where we are now, give or take
6 to 7.
5, 6, 7, 8, something like that. I think because of the draw that we've got, that I think we're going to be okay to make the finals. And it really just comes down to, if we can make the finals, let's just keep our fingers crossed that we can put it all together in the month of September. You never know. I don't think I'm pretty confident we're not that type of team this year, like we have been in previous years, where we're clearly one of the top 2 teams, and then there's daylight between us and the rest. That's not our story this year.
Yeah.
Our mission is to get to the finals and hope for the best. I think just put all the pieces in place and let's have a red hot crack.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think any club, if they have to deal with Geelong on any given day in the finals, is going to be anxious. Again, you obviously look at the forward line with Tom and Jerry up there, but what's going on in defence and this growth of Sam Simpson, and obviously there's Tom Stewart there who's just not going to let a single thing get past him. The midfield still has guns all over the place. Yes, they have their moments, as they've just recently proven against St Kilda for about 15 minutes there. It all fell apart. But this is a team that if those pieces come together on the day and maybe the bounce of the ball goes our way, I think Melbourne would still be concerned.
I think so. And look, we cast your mind back to round 23 last year. We lost the game, but
after the siren kick.
Yeah, and it was
redemption for him because he screwed it up once already. So
yeah, but we were comfortably leading that game. So
yeah,
Melbourne, great team, and they deserved everything that came to them last year. But Geelong's not far off, and you'd always prefer to finish top 4 and have that luxury of a second chance. But sometimes when you haven't got that second chance and fear finds you, it's amazing what that does for you when there's nothing to lose. Yeah.
Well, let's bring this one home. Where can people go if they want to see what you, Ben Reeve, are up to under the Hoops Show umbrella?
You can find me on Twitter at The Hoops Show.
Directly above your head if you're watching the video version.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful. I think it's somewhat similar for, I think it's the _hoops_ show on Insta. Just type in The Hoops Show on YouTube and you'll find me out there. I think we'll put the link to the show.
Everything will be in the show notes. Go check that out on YouTube and the podcast feed.
And join the family. Subscribe, let your friends know. Check it out. Check out all the different content on the show. Be really good to have you on board.
Yeah,
thanks to you, Paul. Really appreciate this.
No, not a problem at all. And as you just kind of shouted out yourself, please make sure to subscribe to The Hoop Show on YouTube. You've just mentioned the social feeds there. Make sure to subscribe to the Behind the Play podcast feed as well. There'll be a dedicated feed for that will be live, hopefully at the same time that the shows start rolling out. Certainly by now, everything should be up and running. If it's not, panic stations for us. But so please make sure to subscribe to all those, engage with us, reach out to us on those various social media platforms. Again, if you're watching the YouTube video, those are directly above our heads. Paul James Games for myself, The Hoop Show for you. Thanks a lot for coming on the show, mate. And I guess specifically for myself, because normally I'm pleading for guests to come on Dev Diary and all those sorts of things, and thanking them for giving me time. In this case, thank you for giving me your time, because you've given me a platform here to talk about something that I've loved footy all these years, and a bit like you, didn't know how to necessarily do it, despite the fact that I had all these other, I had the tools to do it, but but I didn't have the platform to do it. You've given me that, and I'm really thankful for that. So thank you for the opportunity, and I'll stop schmoozing.
No, I thank you so much, Paul. I really, I'm really excited for the future with what this collaboration is going to look like, and so excited. Can't wait to announce some of the guests that are going to come on soon.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
Very, very exciting.
And you've probably already seen or heard them, but that's all right. Time capsules and all that sort of thing.
Very good.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries.
Cats fans, remain Geelong strong. We'll see you later.
Go Cats.